Taylor.
Welcome committee members and members of, not that we have any members of the public here, but we no doubt have members of the public viewing online, and council staff. Please ensure that your devices, cell phones are either switched off or on silent mode whilst the meeting's in progress. If a cell phone interrupts the course of the meeting, we will stop and wait for the device to be muted.
Do we have a fining system for cell phone interruptions?
The mayor is interrupting, Chair.
No, we haven't instigated anything like that, Mayor.
It's just a shame and embarrassment.
Oh, right, okay.
So this, now we'll get to the next part. The recording of this meeting has already started. So this meeting has been held in the supper room of the Waihinga Centre in the Martin Borough Town Hall. It has been live streamed and will be available to view on the council's YouTube channel for those who wish to do so in the future. We'll just do a brief health and safety. All councillors and staff have been here many times before, and we all know where the exits to this building are if we need to use them. And as there is no public present, we're not going to experience any intimidating behaviour. So we'll start this infrastructure meeting with karakia. We'll read that out jointly.
I kia ora te marena ki whakapapa.
Ngamo
He hure ma tātou I tangarangi ai aro mai tātou I tātou katoka e tākie.
I'll just read out the translation for those who are viewing and may not be fluent in Te Reo. May peace be widespread. May the sea be like greenstone, a pathway for all of us this day. Let us show respect for each other and one another and bind us all together. Great to see you here, Councillor Clark. I think the only apologies we have are Councillor Isaacs. Would someone please?
I'll move.
Thank you, Mayor Fran, and seconder for his apology. Thank you, Councillor Bosley. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Are there any conflicts of interest to declare in relation to our agenda today? Thank you. No conflicts. Are there any acknowledgements and tributes? No acknowledgements and tributes. Thank you. There are no registrations for public participation. Are there any items of urgent business we need to cover today? Thank you. No. First item, confirmation of minutes. Now consider the meeting minutes from our last infrastructure committee meeting, which was held on the 16th of April 2026. Are there any corrections needed? Being noted.
Chair, there were just a number of action items, but most of them were for the CE to follow up. She's not here today, so if we can just note, be useful to have an update, okay, on those items.
We talk about recommendation.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, they're not collected in there, but they're under action.
Thank you for that. So we don't need. Can I please have somebody to move the confirmation of the minutes from the last meeting held 16th of April 2026 are confirmed as true and correct recommendation. Councillor Bosley. Seconder. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Taylor. All in favour, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion is carried. And are there any matters arising from the previous meeting? So discuss those action items later on the appropriate place. One thing that I should have covered off earlier is an acknowledgement. I'd just like to acknowledge the resignation of Councillor Olds as a long-serving councillor for South Wairarapa District Council. Previous chair of the Infrastructure Committee. He has resigned as he has submitted his nomination to stand in the upcoming Greater Wellington Regional Council by-election for the Wairarapa seat. I'd like to acknowledge his service to South Wairarapa since I think probably 2013. He referred to himself often as a dinosaur around the council table, but he also coming with a dinosaur, well, but with being a dinosaur, there was an inherent institutional knowledge of South Wairarapa and the council actions and processes that have occurred in the past. So I'd just like to acknowledge his service to this council and the whole South Wairarapa community. Thanks.
Beautifully put, Aidan. Good.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to the formal part, information reports, section or agenda item 10. 10.1. We're now considering report 10.1 infrastructure and community operations group reports. Mr. O'Connell, would you like to highlight or add anything that we need to pay attention to in these reports?
Thank you, Chair. I'll take the my sort of highlights cover note as read. There's simply extractions out of the reports that then follow on from that. And I'd like to invite out progressively each of my managers to spend about 10 minutes talking about their business units area, just to make sure we keep on time. So if I could ask Melissa to come up to the table.
Well done. I'll take most of the report as read, but we'll just give you some highlights on our community operations work as we're approaching financial year end. So look on gathering information on our assets, continues at pace, and have already been able to inform some early LTP briefings and intelligence being gathered in this discovery phase. Mentioned we're approaching financial year end, so focusing on closing out the projects and identifying where funds may need to be carried over to next financial year and where we've made savings which can be returned. This year, just to highlight some of the more complex projects that have been completed, include the Anzac Hall upgrade, Greytown Town Centre repiling emergency management upgrades, West Haven flat upgrades, Martinborough Square lighting fixes, car park resurfacing, the Otoeta Road refresh, Featherston Memorial Dome lighting, Featherston and Lake Ferry playgrounds, work at the Greytown Rugby Grounds, and of course the Greytown Wheels Park. And then since writing this report, also the Greytown Campground driveway work has been completed. Park Week's due to wrap up imminently, and we're working with stakeholders and local groups to scope out the next steps of what that might look like in terms of tourism and community access. The Heights access work is underway. It was due to complete this week, but it will now be completed next week as the supplier delayed due to some bad weather. We've initiated work for Lake Ferry upgrades, the campground, the southern toilet and shower facilities, and managed to secure some tourism infrastructure or TIF funding to support that work. Had a great meeting with Tora residents and groups about the coastal restoration work we've been doing. They're really happy with the work that's been carried out so far and how that relationship is playing out. And our open spaces tender is progressing well. We've selected a preferred candidate, which will be presented at the next council meeting, as it's all still confidential as we work through that tender process. Any questions or comments?
No one likes to show off, Melissa. Great result though, well done. Thank you.
Chair, there's a couple of reg items which are red, and there's some recommendations there that either the work can't be completed or the budget is insufficient, but the recommendation suggests that the projects actually be discontinued. I'm just wondering, Chair, how we'll bring that to a resolution.
Which particular projects?
The Waihinga Centre acoustic dampening, and also the Longwood. There was a property upgrade. Yep.
So for the acoustic dampening, this is a historical project as I remember. I think it's been carried over for a few years, based on some complaints from the library staff about the noise from the cafe. As yet, we've been unable to identify a solution which fits within the budget allocated. But the need for it seems to change based on staff opinion at the time. So I guess it's just a decision will be needed on whether we proceed with that, either allocate more budget to look for more grand solutions, or whether we look to whether that work needs to take place and allocate those funds.
Your friend, do you have a question?
Just wondered as a follow-up whether Melissa's suggesting that we just say, yeah, cancel the project. Is that what you're recommending? Or we should do that probably formally, so that you don't have to
Going to
worry
be
about
very
it.
difficult to close it down.
In
Ah.
keeping with the architectural.
Yes.
Exactly,
The wooden
yeah.
floor, you're never gonna dampen any, noise in there. No.
What's the process about,
Do we need to move a resolution?
moving the second or?
Just put it at the end of added into the resolution, yeah.
And then the second one was around the upgrade of the Longwood property, rental property.
A colleague of mine is putting together a more fulsome paper around some options that we can bring to the group for the next meeting.
Yep.
And just wondering about the other two are kind of like, look like holds, and curious about what does orange mean in between green and red, or do we just have green and red?
We do have orange. Usually that's around whether there are some medium level risks to either delivery or reputation or the
Okay.
budget. But these ones are more that the budget is insufficient, or that we don't think that they can be carried out.
Right, so the
That should be.
climbing wall and the green space are kind of on hold while other aspects of those endeavours are evaluated.
Yes, the climbing wall has been another community project which has been carried over for a number of years, and we've been looking at solutions for how best to install a climbing facility to the existing Underhill or Featherston Stadium structure. During our asset management discovery phase, we've identified the need for further discussions around Underhill Stadium and renovations there, and we don't believe that putting that money into this facility at the moment would be a good use of our funds. We're exploring other options on what can be done to support the Featherston climbing route. Mostly that's a reputational risk because it has been ongoing work with this group for a number of years, determining how best to use that money. But at the moment, we don't think it's best use of funds to put into that stadium at the moment.
Right, and are those, through the chair, are those funds going to be held over? Or when the briefing about the, whatever might happen with the stadium comes about?
We're discussing what can be done with that with finance and some other options, also noting that Kuranui College has a climbing facility. Can be used by the public, or should be able to be used by the public, but we're just working through it.
Okay,
Those in the
thank
background
you.
at the moment. Yeah.
Chair, can I just ask one further question about the infamous Featherston toilets? When you finally do get something, can you just announce it? You don't have to bring it back here, do you?
Sure. Yeah,
Just go for it as soon as you can. 'Cause-
absolutely.
Thanks.
Great. Any other questions from the team? In regards to community ops? One question from me, Melissa, the riparian planting at Tora. The plan, is that where the planting is going to occur? Is that area at risk from either coastal erosion or flooding from the river?
Mostly erosion, and also I believe from access around bikes pedestrians camping and that kind of thing as well. So it's repairing some of the damage that's been done around there, but working with the residents and the iwi to make sure that that's all in keeping with their ideas for the area and things as well.
And is that going to be, and is that going to be an area which is going to be protected from further damage from pedestrians or campers?
That's,
So that it's not going to be a waste of.
yeah, that's what we're in discussions with, and how best to monitor and protect that area.
Right.
And I believe there's been some fencing upgrades and things around there as well to further protect that. So
It's great. Thanks a lot for that. That's again, I'd like to just follow up with Councillor Bosley's comments. A lot has been delivered. A lot has obviously been planned to be delivered and completed going forward. It's great to see that there's so much work happening in your space. Thank you. Councillor Clark.
So there was just a comment on QR codes at parks recently, and where does that get reflected in the results of the feedback that people are providing?
So that was an initiative working with Nikki as part of our KPI reporting. I think in the past they have used the resident surveys to get information on their KPIs, but it's not always live data and they don't always get a large pool of respondents. So we're trialing this as a way to capture more regular feedback throughout the year, and it's reported on quarterly through the KPIs. We've made it very well, we think we've made it clear in the forms that it's distinct from the Get It Sorted, so it's not for reporting issues at that time, and we've got a little briefing note at the top of the survey that says that. So this is about getting more grand ideas for the space and yeah, immediate information that we can act on, but it's primarily reflects in our KPI reporting.
Right. I think I had put in a request for there to be one at the One Tree Hill domain. I don't think I've noticed one.
Yes, we're looking, so we have them at a series of parks around town. They're not in each of the areas and they're not linked to specific parks. People can identify which park they're at, but due to the cost of the signs, we're moving those around periodically. So we'll reflect some, Featherston domain will get some time with the QR code, but we're just trying to manage the resource around it as well.
Oh, and further
Right.
question? Sorry.
Thanks so much for that. 10 minutes, we're hitting the time. So thanks a lot for that, Melissa. Much appreciated for your report and information.
Carrying on, we'll have Peter up to the table. Thank you, Peter. To talk about water capital projects. Rather.
Page 23 of the agenda, past the title page, summarises progress over the last, since we last met in so coming up to the end of the financial year, we've got 4 projects which will actually, that since writing this, one of those projects unfortunately has drifted over the 3rd of June deadline, the pH dosing upgrade. We'll probably end up finishing that in July. That's 4 projects are done, and we've had some challenges, broadly speaking, some challenges with inaccurate as-built information and other matters, but that's projects. And we're on track for beginning, I guess, a second phase with the projects which are not yet commenced construction on the next slide, for instance. James, can I just ask you to perhaps give a high-level update on the wastewater treatment line upgrades, which I'm not in.
Absolutely, which Peter's not involved in. So there's not too much to say there at the moment. That's still in confidential procurement process, nearing the end of that in terms of contract negotiations. So that's all I'll say about that piece at the moment.
Thank you. So the ones that are in completion or near completion, the Tauwhaneka River Pipeline, we just, like all projects, they refuse to go away until you put a firm boot on them and get the asset information out. And that's what phase we're in both that and the Featherston Water Mains project. Featherston Water Mains has some snag list items, which is resulting in some night works underway at the moment, which is being managed with the community. Occasional bursts of complaints and that are being addressed, and occasional bursts of water that didn't expect to have been disconnected, but unfortunately has been due to poor knowledge of the underground assets, I think, all being investigated so that we can update the asset information with accuracy. It doesn't happen again. And the bottom project on that first page 24, the Greytown water treatment line upgrade stage 3, we've had some good news from our operations and maintenance people at Wellington Water. The existing bore pump was replaced successfully, and during this inspection was done of the actual bore itself once the pump was out of the way. It's pronounced to be in very good condition. So that was a large relief. So they believe that the reason for the problems over the last 2 or 3 years was in the old pump, and now there's a new pump in its place. We're looking forward to a period of good operation out of that water supply. And so that just leaves me to come to market with the remaining tasks of delivering that containerised water treatment plant into that system, which putting together the paperwork for now, the tender documents for launch to the market next month. Renewals we've talked about, and the consent renewals are generally speaking, with the passing of the Resource Management Act extension bill. You know what, I've actually forgotten the actual name of the act, sorry, but it's the Act of Parliament that extended soon to be expired or recently expired resource consents for a further 2 years. We're taking the opportunity to slow down but not withdraw the application, and carry out cultural impact assessment with iwi in order to bring that through. And that will probably be handed over once the relationships are built to the CCO to deliver on council controlled organisation, sorry, CCO. Wahine I've spoken to, thank you for the approval last time. We're into the extra works there to deliver essentially a solution which increases the amount of water that can be delivered to Greytown from that plant. The Brandon Street wastewater repair, re-looking at KiwiRail suggestion of going for a lining solution with the existing repair rather than digging it up. That was not the preferred solution that was presented to council before. So just revisiting that with KiwiRail to get something going with them to redo the Brandon Street wastewater situation to avoid the slump in alignment, which was the reason it was to this CapEx project dashboard. The final page, page 26, just has, I guess, not rats and mice, but some other projects which are not as in depth. For information, we are most of the way through the reservoir water quality renewals. There's been some good work done by Juno Civil there, and everything except for the final liner on the underside of the tank has been done. Water race consenting, it's with Regional Council now. They are just taking their time, I think, and we need to get the conditions of consent agreed. The wellfield security has been cancelled. We recognised, and Wellington Water recognised, that that project was actually, there was no scope of work that met the objective. All of the well fields are secure or have got advanced treatment after them, so that any contamination can be dealt with as a result of flooding. That usually is the reasons for the contamination. That one in particular applies to Puranoa. Pump station renewals are being scoped up. That's just minor works, and the water take consent has been completed. And that's the end of my section here.
Thanks, Peter. It's good to see your updates. It's good to see the work in progress. It's good to see the costing is coming in, and the savings and the difference of costs compared to what we had budgeted for under our long-term plans. It's also great to see that note in that Featherston water main renewal, that phase one, with that overnight demand, water demand of 2 to 3 litres per second, has been reduced by that work, by replacing those water pipes. And no doubt when phase two kicks off and is completed, hopefully there'll be some more savings identified in that space as well. It's good to see. Thank you. Councillor.
Chair, the report just notices a range of challenges, so including accuracy of as-built information and managing the diverse program of work during construction. I wonder if you just might elaborate a little bit more to explain what those challenges are for those particular items. And then it also goes on to say that, you know, there's obviously fuel costs and material prices have changed as well. Can you just confirm that they are adequately covered by contingency?
The first as-built information challenges, I guess there's lots of examples that we've come into. The Featherston water mains has been a problem one. The designs were effectively not worthless, but almost worthless once the excavation was undone. Only in a couple of places, not for the whole project. And that, definitely people get into problem solving mode when that occurs, and that was done quite successfully by contractor and our overseeing project management company, CF Projects. So they basically hatched a plan and made do with the fittings that they could get in at short notice. And similarly, the Tofuruniko pipeline project, that was obviously a larger scale, but those challenges were overcome by a bit of nifty swapping around of materials. These massive chambers, for instance, which are one of them was almost as high as this room, and we just had to do a switcheroo basically and come up with some new standard fittings which are available off the shelf in order to make that work. And similarly, valves on that project that were discovered not to be isolation valve but were scour valves, so not in line but off the pipe, and that really meant that our isolation procedures that we had planned on had to become wider, and so it led to a significant amount of increased scope of pipe replacement, which in itself is not a bad outcome, I suppose. It renewed some pipe work, but those are information challenges which we've learned from the stage 2 of Featherston water main renewals. We'll do some, we've got a little bit more of a luxury of time there, and we'll do some examination by plot hole, effectively getting a hydro excavator or something, or maybe a digger, or even just good old shovel and muscle, in order to actually uncover some of the critical parts to confirm that they are what they are proposed to be. The diverse program is just what it is. It's quite a large program in terms of number of different types of projects, which means you have a lot of different skills that need to be brought in. And so how we've managed that has been to outsource for people where we need it. So used the example of CF Projects before, who are experts in linear infrastructure or pipelines for other people's phraseology, and similarly GHD have been brought in to do treatment upgrades, and I've got some expertise in that area as well. JP Irwin has got expertise in linear infrastructure. Consulting, we've brought in some outside town planning people. It's really just been evolving and adapting to try and fill the gaps where we're able to do so. That's sort of how we've addressed that challenge. And finally, the material costs and the fuel costs are linked. We've all been reading the papers, the global events, et cetera, and most of our pipeline materials these days are plastic derived, which is made out of oil. So both diesel and petrol costs have been escalated. I'm pleased to report that they actually haven't been very large escalations that we've received for the fuel costs. I think our contractors do a really good job of knowing the nitty gritty and itemising things out very well, so that when they ask for an uplift, it's in the vicinity of $1,000 rather than 10,000 or 20,000 or something ridiculous. So have we got enough contingency? The Featherston water mains renewals number 2, it's probably going to be our biggest impact. It's going to be plastic piping one way or the other, and we will basically try and get as much done as we can with the budget allowed. So our contingency consists of reducing scope rather than coming back for more money. The other projects are in a healthy situation and with contingency.
Thanks for that. That's good.
Councillor Clark quickly, and then we've got one more question from Councillor Bosley, so I'm going to run out of time real fast, so.
Very quickly, there have been issues with Featherston water main renewals, and thanks to Jen Drake for helping to manage those with the community. Next question, I think you've probably kind of dealt with it, but assuming that you're checking of all the underwater assets, does that go on our asset register? Is that part of our asset register? Underground stuff that you can't see?
Yeah, so that's correct. So we'll need to, going forward, develop a process to make sure that our asset register, which is essentially derived from Geographical Information Systems or GIS, those two are one and the same fundamentally for our pipe work. And so we have a GIS technician as our staff, although not devoted to water. So I've been cozying up to him, to be honest. Seeing if I can understand how best to get the information refreshes going, because it is database update grade work, swapping out information for new information. So that is
Work in progress. Great, thank you. And very quickly, is there going to be some community involvement in the Featherston riparian planting?
No.
Okay, there we go.
Councillor Bosley.
Very quickly, thank you, Chair. The Greytown water treatment, sorry, the water treatment plant, this has been, well, I'm into my 4th year of discussing it now. Do I take it now then that we won't be putting a new container in a new site with a new bore down to the end of the car park there by the rec centre?
They're two different things.
So
One is the treatment,
but you just mentioned a container treatment plant. What are we talking about there?
yes, so the container is able to be placed beside the Memorial Park swimming parts like before. And the previous meant to be an additional bore because it was thought that the existing bore was in its death throes. And it has been maintained and managed through those, and now has been fully replaced with a new bore pump in the existing bore, so the existing hole to the ground casing. And so I propose that we don't expend the funds to put in a new bore and a new bore pump, which by the by would not have been able to run at the same time as the existing one anyway. It would have been an either or backup. So the existing bore pump is large. It's got sufficient flow for 65 litres a second, which is Greytown's consumption is generally speaking about 30 to 35 litres a second. So
that meet our firefighting requirements then as well in terms of water pressure?
That's a different matter. It is currently the firefighting requirements are where they are not met is because the pipe work is not big enough servicing the residents, particularly up Kuratawhiti Street. And so in order to resolve those firefighting issues entirely, that would be a piping upgrade. But so the pump is the right capacity and delivers the right pressure, not too high, in order to feed Greytown's water treatment plant capacity. And additionally, the capacity from the Waiahine water treatment plant has been, or has been temporarily and soon will permanently be able to be delivered through making sure that the Greytown reservoir is, which is the small tank, which has been having the refurbishment works done on at the moment, is able to be kept topped up, which currently hydraulically it is essentially drained by the action of feeding Featherston. So there's some relatively minor works that could lead to a tremendous increase in capacity and capability for Greytown, and I'm hoping that those works will be able to be demonstrated satisfactorily to you too by the end of this capital program. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Peter. No more questions from Mayor Fran?
No, no, thanks.
Thanks for the update, very detailed. Thank you, Peter. Again, great to see progress.
Thanks, Peter. Now, Vi, so we'll talk about land transport. As best as you can in 10 minutes.
Okay, just like everyone else, we're bringing our accounts to a close for the end of the financial year with NZTA. The report there reflects what our budget is and what we've got left. I would probably imagine that 2 million figure is quite alarming to some people, but there is a reason for it. After having 2 months of storms, that really does impact our day-to-day work and drawing down on our day-to-day budgets. We are doing our best to make sure that we do use as much of that budget and catch up on that work that we were expected to do when we've been working on storm response. There's also some there's a couple of other budgets which reflect that take quite a portion of that $2.4 million there. The PACE score for April was a good score. 90, anything up in the sort of mid to high 90s is a good score, which means that we're getting what we want from our maintenance contractor, Fulton & Hogan. So I'm pleased with the 95 score that we had there in April. I'll just skim over the health and safety. We had a couple of incidents. They've all been dealt with as in due course as they've happened. To take questions if anyone else. Don't want to waste my time talking about that too much. The other things down there, the work programme, I won't go down line by line, but you can see that we have carried out quite a considerable bit of work there. The unsealed road regrading 215 kilometres, cleaned, and the sweeping. You know, we've done quite a bit of work there. So. Done to the minor events. So the emergency work that we've had quite a bit of emergency work from just vegetation damage and things, trees coming down, hitting fence lines and damaging power lines and things. The reseals there, we have met a target for the year, that 19.1 kilometres. You can see a list there of the roads that we did the reseals on. The area wides also, we met our target for the year. Those 4 main sites all been completed. The speed management for South Wairarapa is completed. We do have some loose ends and some things that we're retweaking to tidy up. We've got a couple of issues where now that it's in place, we think there's a little bit of confusion for the motorists, so we're going to be tidying them up. One of them is at the college on Bidwell's cutting there. There's a very small section that we don't think should be there, so that may come back to council to see what they want me to do. Whether it be a 50 or a 60, rather than it be too confusing for the road user. That's work that will come out of that. The April storm event from 2026 was just the last storm. Unfortunately, we had more damage to Tirata Road from the original storm event in February. We had basically a repeat of the same amount of road being washed away. I've been doing considerable amount of work with regional council. We're now making some progress, but there's still quite a bit of work to do on Tirata Road about how we're going to address and protect that asset of the road. Goes up there. A bit of damage on Lake Ferry Road, Ruhu Road. A lot of debris was deposited from the road onto some farm paddocks, and we've also noticed that there's some damage to the bridge by the water treatment plant there at Perinoa. So that's work that we're currently looking at. We've looked at the bridge. The bridge is safe, but it needs some work. And when we do that, I'm just not sure when. Considering the other more high priority work we have on bridges. I'm going to read this one for a word. So moving down to the May swell event. Just recently we had this big swell event. We had sorry, this is a May swell event from 2025. So there's a good news story here. We started the Eco Reef extensions yesterday. So we've actually the archaeologists were down there for the day yesterday. We managed to get the groundwork done. They're all happy, so they've now left site, and we're now rebuilding the
Right.
roof on both sides. So that is a positive thing. It's really good that we've managed to do that. All the other work, or not all the work, but most of the other work is being done. The rock avertments and the repair. I'm going to skip the development work because that's just day-to-day work for us, and I'll also skip over, unless anybody's got any questions about the number of corridor access requests we've done and TMPs. So the ongoing work, the structures work, the critical bridge and strength assessments. So the Tower Bridge is our main focus at the moment, Murray Road. We have the design that we're going to use. Greg Lee is helping us with the consent, and Tim Lewis from Regional Council is helping us fast track that consent, get through to get on that work done. We're just working on costs. The actual 2 box culverts these are approximate figures, about 200,000, and then the demolition and the removal and the fitting of the 2 new culverts is going to be approximately 200,000 as well. So we're looking at a ballpark figure of maybe just over $400,000 to replace that bridge. It's a Tower Bridge. The Lower Valley Bridge, Stantec have been a little bit slow. They haven't got back to me with the options paper of the work that we should be doing for the Lower Valley Bridge. It was due yesterday, but they haven't got it to me yet. So I've spoke to them, and they do know that we're urgently waiting on that. Once we have that, that will be something that we presented for consideration on what we should do. They believe that I'm surprised that they believe that they may be able to lift the weight restriction off that bridge. But that doesn't mean that we won't have work to do, because we still have to fix the foundation, the superstructure and the piers and piles and things.
For sure, yep.
The weight on the bridge is going down into the piles, so that's why the delay has given me the reason for the delay in coming back to me. It should be good.
Fran, have you got a question?
Just a question about the process for that. When you do get that from them, yeah, and you've made your decision and you need to bring it back, don't wait for a committee meeting. If necessary, we can schedule a meeting, because that's quite urgent.
I don't think I'll be making a decision, because this will be from a complete bridge replacement to repair.
Yeah.
Just repair. It's how much money we can afford.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, if you need a decision, you don't want to leave it too long. Yeah,
As soon as I have that paper, I can make it public too.
yeah, and we can talk about it. We can have a meeting. Thanks.
The same with I run my bridge on Western Lake Road. We've asked for an option paper on that. Decision needs to be made on how we're going to address it. That may cause us some issues, because one of the options is to increase a weir on the river, and that brings a lot of challenges for consenting. You're actually interfering with the flow of the river across. But it's probably the quickest and easiest solution to solve the problem on that bridge is to put another weir in and elevate the river bed, so the ground will build up back underneath the footprint of the bridge.
Thanks, Grant. Can we just, if there's anything else really urgent that you need to share with us, because we're just sort of running out of time. Does any committee members have questions for Graham around any of those matters? If there are questions that come up, if you can't ask them quickly now, can perhaps we put them via email to Graham and James immediately after the meeting? Sorry,
One very quick one.
Councillor Clark, it has to be quick.
Curious about the impact, you don't have to answer this now, but curious about the impact of damage on Eco Reef and how that kind of assesses how you assess the efficacy of the whole program of Eco Reef compared to when there is damage on something. But that's you can tell me about that later.
Or the damage to the Eco Reef, or
Yeah.
damage to the surrounding?
Damage to you said there was damage to the Eco Reef was repaired.
Yeah, that's just ongoing damage where stone maybe has been removed and we've had to refill stone, and we've actually changed the specification of the stone we're putting into Eco Reef, so it's bigger,
Okay.
so that we don't lose that.
Oh,
Do you mind if I just add on some really positive news?
Yeah.
So the February.
All happy to hear positive news, happy to hear it.
I did write that,
Yeah.
I think, and I did think it would be really good to end my presentation on the positive things. So we have now got the emergency claim money. It's been approved for
good.
February.
Excellent.
So the Torrella Bridge is nearly finished. All the work to strengthen it has been finished. All we're doing is putting the barriers back in. We're waiting on some better weather to resurface. The Haruki Bridge is about to start. Dick's Gully is about to start. And to Rata Road is work in progress, but we're definitely making good progress because we're talking to landowners about stockpiling and removing material from that river, which is a really good step forward.
Thanks a lot for your work, Graham. It's, I know you've had a big break away from all this, and you've come back, and there was no doubt a whole lot of stuff piled up waiting for you. But you're trucking through it, and it's great to hear those positive stories and news. Thank you. Cheers. All right, now that we've gone through an information report, do I have a mover, please, to receive the infrastructure and community options reports?
To move in this time, Chair.
Thanks, councillor Taylor and councillor Bosley for seconding. All those in favour of receiving these reports, please say aye. No one against. The motion is carried. Thank you very much, team.
For you, Chair, did you have an additional resolution?
Thank you for reminding me. So
Just need a
wording for that acoustic dampening. So that was the project under community ops, wasn't it? So should we just move that the acoustic dampening project in the Waihinga Centre is discontinued? Work program. Can I have a mover for that, please? Councillor Bosley, and a seconder, Councillor Clark. Thank you. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. For keeping me in line. Item 10.2, transition to alternative 3 water services division. So 10.2 in the agenda. So Connor, would you like to highlight?
Yeah, so just to, the intention was to have another colleague to present this report, but for personal reasons, he was unable to make this meeting. So I'll take that paper as read, and I can take questions or take questions away if I'm unable to answer. But at a high level, this is about the transition from Wellington Water into the new arrangement post 30 June. High level things, there's a lot that is going on, a huge amount of work by a lot of people. Things are going really well. Things are on target to be met. Yeah, a lot of work happening by a lot of people. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to try and answer them, or I can take them away. There is also that piece of, well, it's more than a piece of work, is moving so fast that since this paper's been written, there's other things that have happened and risks that have been further mitigated as well. So happy to take questions if you wish.
Any questions from the team?
Just a question around the offboarding and onboarding from Wellington Water into City Care. City Care taking all of the Wellington Water staff that was portioned to South Wairarapa work.
So not directly, but they will be South Wairarapa staff and then posted to City Care. But all of those people are coming across.
Right.
As in all of the people that are operating the treatment plants and
our staff now, which means our personnel costs are higher.
And at the end of when it transitioned into the new water entity, they will further transition?
Correct.
They-
Transition to YT Water. Yep.
Mhm.
And that's been discussed with the staff as part of the process coming into
Right.
South Y.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that if you remember, we noted that there was a swap of operational cost to personnel costs for 1 year in the annual plan. That's clearly noted and explained to people when they see that annual plan.
Thanks, Charlie. Any other questions? I'd just like to comment that we received that email from Janice earlier on this week regarding that she advised us all the legal documentation which was required for South Wairarapa to exit Wellington Water has now been completed, so we are no longer a shareholder with Wellington Water. So that's process that the team have been working long and hard alongside this transition to ensure that our water operations across drinking water and wastewater, there was continuity, as that was probably the biggest or the highest risk for our council across the district. And then there will no doubt be a further risk going from City Care and South Y into YT Waters next year as well, but no doubt with the work that we've done in this space, that transition will be easy going forward next year.
Chair, there's quite a significant financial transition to be made in terms of that element of winding up. The chief executive didn't disclose what that was, but presumably we will get a further report on that at some point.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Any other questions, team?
Thanks.
If not, do I have a mover to accept, receive this report, 10.2 transition to alternative water services provision for 26-27 year. Who's going to move that? Councillor Clark, thank you very much. Do I have a seconder? Mayor Fran, thank you very much. All those in favour, please say aye. Anyone against? No. The motion has been carried. Now moving on, racing on to agenda item 10.3, which is the YT Waters transition update. We have Catherine here to provide us with an update. Thanks so much for attending. Understand that you have got a full diary today and you need to race away.
I've got plenty of time.
Trying to make sure that that we don't.
I figured that better to deal with after this, but.
Great.
Really?
Great. So would you like to provide us with highlights or add anything more to the report that may have come to your attention since this was first drafted?
So I guess the key things just to pull out of here is a major milestone last reported to you, which was in April, earlier in April, but we obviously welcomed our board in mid-April. We launched the company with its name. We incorporated the company. We've inducted the board, and so we're now kind of essentially closed out that first stage of the program, and we now have a fully not yet operational company, but a company that is now working with us on all of those aspects of transition. The report gives you just an update on what's happening in each work stream, but I would probably just summarise it and say the board has been very busy in the last couple of months. They've made tremendous progress. We have lined up a whole lot of very significant decisions for them to be making in those first couple of months, and they've done that. And that puts us in a really good place in terms of being on track with this second stage of the program, which is really the sort of gutsy operational transition. So probably just the key things that I would call out of the progress that they have made. We are well advanced in our search for a chief executive. The initial long list interviews have been done for that. Shortlist interviews are next week, and we're hoping to have an appointment made in July. And obviously, depending on who that person is and their notice periods or things, they may be here shortly after that. We've consulted with operational staff across the 4 councils on how they would transition to employment with Waitī Water. So picking up on the conversation on the next item. The board have confirmed those pathways, and with it by the end of the month, we're going to be able to confirm for everybody, which transition pathway they're on. So that's a really important milestone in terms of giving staff certainty about how they transition across. So that's fantastic. Achievement, we have a preferred head office location. We're just working through the details of the landlord on that. So that's well underway. We have started the process of accession to the LGFA. There's another major plank of our work, and we've gone to market for new systems days ago for new finance system and billing and management systems. So really significant progress on the part of the board over the 2 months that they've been here, and then running along in parallel to that from a shareholder perspective. Been working on the development of the statement of expectations, which is now, I would say, essentially finalised, and we're starting to brief the councils on that this week. We had a really good joint conversation between the board and the Stakeholders Forum a couple of weeks ago on that document. So I think there is pretty good agreement on what's in there. Busy couple of months, but happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Rach. Councillor Taylor.
Thanks, Chair. I just had the one question in terms of the IT, going to market and the billing element. Presumably other water entities are in the same process. Is there any efficiencies that could be done by bringing some of this together, or the work to be done?
Yeah, so other transitions are in various stages of that. Obviously those that are going live in 2026 are essentially through that process, either ready to go live with new systems, or in some cases they are relying on their shareholding council systems while they, kind of consider them along. I think for the 2027 transitions, we're probably further ahead than others. I think there's a general desire to push for kind of standardisation across the, in terms of
Definitely embed the wheels.
There's no kind of mandated solution in the way that there was under the previous. So everybody's sort of picking their own path, but I would be very surprised if they don't land in similar places, and certainly they're around real drivers for things like data standardisation and things like that, so that in the future, if there are further coming together and we get,
Amalgamation.
Amalgamation, thank you. I'm like, what's the word I'm looking for? Amalgamation. That makes that part of the potential future process more straightforward. And obviously I would expect that companies that are bidding for these projects are bidding across multiple transitions, and so there's a lot of and kind of planning and infrastructure and things that we'll be looking to exploit there.
Thank you. And Chair, just to note, the Mayor may wish to comment, but the stakeholders group had a very productive meeting with the board a few weeks ago, and that was to work through the statement of expectation, which I understand that the board has now responded to and have recommended that there be no actual changes in the statement that was put together. There is a process to be worked through.
Process on that statement.
We're having more briefing on that.
Yeah, will that be coming to council?
How many know?
It's just a
Week, I think it's next week. Yes. Yeah.
So we've had no input in what that statement is though, right?
No, our council hasn't. Rob and I, sorry, Deputy Mayor and I have
Yeah.
been doing that, and it's pretty good actually.
Okay.
But the main thing is what it requires, and the ongoing engagement with them. I think it's fine.
So for the information around the statement of expectation is coming to our collective council group in a briefing next week.
Yeah.
It'd be great to see that and have some discussion around it.
The other thing that's probably important to say is that the meetings, and particularly we've now had the one with the full board, a proper meeting, they're highly engaged. It's not how I've observed the Wellington Water Committee meetings in the past,
Yes.
which are very formalised and structured, and I think ours is a little different, and it's probably much better in the quality of what we get out of it. Yeah.
In the past, in the previous term, I did sit in on one or two of those stakeholder meetings for Wellington Water on behalf of our deputy mayor. And it was certainly, from my perspective, an interesting experience. And I suppose from my experience sitting in on that, I suppose there's some learnings for me. And all the way through this water reform process, I've been focused on setting the Wire entity up for success moving forward. And so I suppose there were some things that I have picked up out of that Wellington Water experience that I'd like to ensure that are transferring through into a new entity. So yeah, I'll be keen to discuss that. We have that briefing statement of expectations.
We had delegating.
Really
Yeah.
awesome statement.
So we might see.
Yes.
To bring here.
I mean, obviously, it's while it sort of has some similarities to statements of intent and things that other CCOs develop, it's got some very specific requirements and much more robust requirements
I think
under the accountability regime. So I think it covers the bases, and it's got a fair bit in it. Yes, it covers what we're expecting.
I did a read through last night and saw, and it was great to see that some of the issues and the points that were raised during our consultation, our discussions in the last term, going through the consultation process, have been locked into that statement. But yeah, there was still some of the things that I'm keen to discuss with you and the representatives on that stakeholder forum.
Yeah, I don't want to harp on about it, Chair, but yeah, I just think, we've got one opportunity to get this right. And I think those of us who've been with Wellington Water for previously.
Yep.
Don't want to see some of those mistakes repeated. That's all.
That's great. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Are there any more points or issues to raise? Thanks a lot for your report, Catherine. It's great that you come along and you keep us updated. And we'll see you next week.
Yep.
Thanks very much. It's time for your next appointment. Right. Now we have to have someone, I just forgot that part. Do I have a mover to note the YT water transition update report, please? Thank you, Councillor Taylor, and Councillor Bosley seconds that. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. No one to vote against it. Thank you very much. The motion is now carried. We're now moving on and considering item 10.4, which is the Palliser Road updates report. Mr. Tim Langley and Mr. O'Connor, would either one of you like to sit at the head of the table?
Mr. Langley, update that. Just while he's setting in, there's two pieces here that we wanted to update you on, as they are in the paper: funding to do with Cape Palliser Road, and then also the ULR, often called the paper road, at the end of Cape Palliser Road.
You, Mr. Chair, I think the business case that went up to NZTA end of May. Started early for their proposal. We've heard nothing from them back yet. As part of that process, we went back to NZTA and asked for funding to help write the business case. After a couple of twos and throws, they funded them in full. So
Nice work.
Yes,
Yeah, well done.
I wish.
they've got the ball rolling, engaged a consultant to help us, and off we went. Ended up being quite a substantial bit of work,
It was.
which incorporated the local feedback, iwi feedback, strategic outlooks, and the knowledge of what's happened out there in the past. Optioned it, had 3 or 4 different options. Status quo was discounted before we even went, but we had to outline it. We were told quite blatantly that if we went in that track, we wouldn't get past first base. So the options were considered, and one we fell on after a multi-case analysis was the hybrid approach. It's 4 sites which have historically been talked about along that road in ZTA, which have always been deemed unaffordable. Those 4 sites are all covered by GW resource consents. In the case landed on requesting consideration for full funding on all coastal protection, emergency works, a very detailed and high level investigation into the stability of Johnson's Hill, and keep a high level overview of our structures out there, including bridges. So in a nutshell, that leaves our normal maintenance, operations and renewals to be funded under a normal FAR. And where we're sitting at the moment, over the last 6 to 8 years, that road has been upgraded to a level which will require very little maintenance, operation renewal in the next 5 to 10 years. So I need to active plans forward. I suppose a deep dive into our costs out there was that over the last 5 years, just over $1 million every year has been funded for emergency works. Nothing to say that will reduce over time. Any questions about the business case before we rock into the paper road?
Have you been given a time frame by NZTA as to when they may respond?
In a meeting last week with our investment advisor, he was quite surprised that Human Space hadn't come back to Janice. So I know that all the business, all the requests from the RLTP are due in draft to NZTA by the end of August, and final by Christmas. So it won't be too much out of those timelines, but I'm not sure what and how it gets presented to the board.
Some, just for knowledge of others, you mentioned Johnson's Hill. Whereabouts? Johnson's Hill?
Just past the Pinnacles, up over the bit between the Pinnacles and the old Kopi village. It's an active slip. The slip plane is about 25 metres below the surface, so it's probably pretty close to below sea level. We've done investigation there in the past, and there's 2 or 3 quite elaborate reports about the stability there and the impact of sea level rise on the toe of that slip.
Thanks. And in the A3, which was attached to my paper agenda, and no doubt was on the A3, description of the program business case, is no doubt attached to the agenda. It just gives the high level, correct the high level points of the business case, Tim.
It does. I think the only thing there that's changed is down the bottom right hand, the WS5, which is over 10-year period, 2 to 4 million in emergency works. Probably sits between 10 and 15 million.
Correct. Well, it's significant, isn't it?
Mm.
Those years. Something that, yeah, thankfully, we have had that 100% funding for a significant period of time. Fingers crossed we get the right result towards the end of the year. For not only the council, our ratepayers, but also our communities out there along the coast. Thanks a lot for the work that you've done, that you've put into this, Tim, over the years with your knowledge of what's been happening. No doubt, well, you've been with South Wairarapa for a number of years, then you went to Oldfields and then you've come back. So again, you've got a huge amount of institutional knowledge about what's been happening on that road, and the fact that you're with us and been able to provide so much input into this business case. That's great. Hopefully that has set us up for success in this process. Thanks. Any other questions about Special Purpose Road, Cape Palace Road team? Right, so take the road now.
Right. It's been working through the process. Parties set up. Next section is an on-site meeting, which we're jacking up with Adi and Niwaka to understand they plan to do what we are looking through the bylaw.
Councillor Bosley.
Just reference to the access group, Tim, who's in that? Who makes up the access group for?
We've got the 4-wheel drive fraternity,
Yeah.
Setting fraternity, community, councillor.
Well, it's you.
Yeah. Walking commissioner on it. Soccer there if we need them.
We haven't seen them at a meeting
No.
yet. Fish and game, it's end online.
Okay.
And it's been,
They're good.
and local community members from Narwee. And we've had some good discussions.
Okay.
There has been a comment on one meeting that the bylaw is there forever. However, I think people have forgotten that the bylaw has a time frame. So we're keen to have the meeting with Hapu landowners, Ngāti Hiniwaka, etc. And then do the site visit and then through from there.
And Chair, would you describe the issues as identified on a pathway to constructive resolution?
I would. During that whole debate about the paper road last year, it's a huge process for council to go through, and it was evident that there was a lot of feeling from people who submitted. Initially, there was a lot of anti the actions of council to put and install that bylaw to prevent access. However, going through the whole process, people who submitted they provided their written submissions, then came along to verbally provide submissions, and they acknowledged and accepted the importance of the land and the ownership of Ngāti Hiniwaka and the Hapu, and people were disgusted about the amount of damage that had occurred to iwi land. And so we felt that it was worthwhile to try and establish an access group to ensure that we could work towards getting access along that land again, work in partnership with Hapu to achieve that. Anything else?
Can I just ask, damage to the gates, has there been any lateral thinking about how you can stop that happening, or is that just gonna always happen?
We thought about it.
A century post,
Remote here.
yeah, you can't really,
And I think
energy,
it's self-policing.
yeah,
When we did speak to the police about it, they went through and spoke to the community, see their cameras to try and identify the perpetrator.
okay, good.
But no, it's probably 7 months into it. It's been damaged twice, replaced once. So I don't think that's,
Well, if it goes on twice a year, it's quite a, mounts up.
yeah.
So I don't know what we can do, but I just wondered if there'd been any bright ideas. No.
I think the more robust you try to make it, the more
That's
the bigger the-
challenging to them, isn't it? Yeah, yes. Yeah,
I think ultimately, if we can come up with a solution for access, and have that community buy-in, as well as, iwi hapu buy-in, then, in joint ownership and responsibility, well, hopefully we won't be having any damage going forward. Great. Anyone add anything more, Tim, or?
Oh, so as an aside, we finished Griffiths Bridge yesterday.
It's great news.
Well done.
So that was again a long process. There was a number of consents that you had to apply for, GW, for various things. So that bridge, what's the expected life span or life timeframe or lifespan now that those works have been completed?
Probably another 40, 50 years, so everything being equal. But it's going to require maintenance, like everything. Got through there with no environmental or health and safety issues. Anything left to do now is remove the sheet piling. Would have been done yesterday, but they had a hydraulic issue on the decking.
So there's lots of significant, good news. That project finished, the Eco Reef work starting yesterday. Lots of good stuff happening around the district and the roading space. Thanks so much, Tim and Graham's all in Bell, but yeah, thanks for your work in those spaces. Now that we've gone through that, we've drilled down to Tim. Picked his brains. Do I have a mover to receive the Cape Palliser Road updates report? Mayor Fran, thank you very much. And a seconder, Councillor Clark, thank you very much. All those in favour, please say aye.
aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Now we're going to rock on to agenda item 10.5, considering the water races update report. And this is going to be a verbal report from James. And we've got some slides as well, which I understand are going to be put up on the screen. Is that right?
Yes, they can be. Just like to invite Peter and up to the table, and Dave as well. So Dave's from Wellington Water. Dave's our water race expert down there. So between Peter and Dave, they'll just give a bit of an update. So just before I hand over to them, this is a result of an action that was against this committee to have a bit of information about water races, to sort of expand the knowledge of those around the table so that's exactly what will be provided. In terms of the go forward post 30 June, the City Care Water will be taking over the management of the water races, and will be as it currently is at the moment, as opposed to anything different. So I'll hand over to Peter and Dave. Welcome.
Thank you. I put these slides together off the top of my head without any consultation with Dave, so I'd better just let everybody know that Dave has every right to correct me. Also, this even it makes me look bad. So they are a very high level overview. The second page just shows you a schematic of the extent of the water races, which is significant. I don't know, some people are surprised to hear of the extent of the water races, so I think that slide is quite illustrative. There is some water supply that starts on the left-hand side there. That graphic starts at the Waihi River and goes as far down as Kahutana. Yeah. So quite the supply system there. And then the next slide has some fundamental sort of description and numbers, etc. And just generally speaking, Dave, hope you don't mind, but I picked Dave's brain when I first came to work for council, and he took me on a couple of trips, and I've remembered quite a lot of what you said, I hope correctly. But yeah, it really impressed me the extent of this water system and the amount that water races overseer had to get through in order to keep it running satisfactorily. So it's a little bit high level there, those statements there, but just generally speaking, people are always interested, Dave, to know how much weed spray is used and whether the animals are allowed to get into the water race, etc., etc. And I agree with Dave that a combination of the two is practical, and it is practical to raise the water races. Cow parsley and other weeds have been increasing over the recent years. Definitely. Yeah. And really you just can't spray that stuff out of existence safely. So I remember also from our site visit that you said the personal relationship is really important. You've got all the customers that you've got their phone numbers and they call you and
and there's for every one of them who love the water race, the next door guy hates it. You know, it's neighbours at war, intergenerational neighbours at war. So yeah, it's quite a diplomatic sort of a
relationship.
Suggest stuff. Yeah. And but it works. It's incredible. It's ancient. You know, as Peter was saying, you go to junctions and there's concrete works, it's metal that's perished and gone decades ago, but it still functions. You know, you move a rock over here, a little bit that way, and and it's 24 every day of the week, and then you know, just never ending. And the challenges really is to get people to clean their water races. We send a letter out every year, you know, in the spring, and remind people how dry it's going to be this year. And you know, if you clean your water race, the next guy will get their water. And just with the weather has been quite challenging. Like this year, that we've had that flood that damaged Wellington, that destroyed, blew out the rock bund that is the dam to push the water down the Longwood one, and the Moroa one had a big slip come down and block the entire intake. So spent a lot of budget this year on getting that fixed up. The pipe that got replaced through the Tiraneka River, luckily, because they diverted the river quite a bit for that. It sort of moved the river over and it's starting to bypass what we had. We're struggling. I had the Hope and Grave and Great coming in, fixing it up, but it just kept washing out. But talked to JP, and all the rocks that they had to protect the old water pipe, he got them moved up to the bund. So now we've got a big stockpile of rocks, and we've fixed that all up. So I think that's good for the next few years. But yeah,
and not just rocks, but these are boulders.
Oh yeah,
dense boulders, so that'll be hard to shift.
It was brilliant. Otherwise, we're in trouble. Yeah.
How long have you been in the role for, Dave?
3 years. Yeah.
Right.
It's taken me, you know, I learned a lot the hard way.
Yeah.
And
Steep learning curve.
yeah, and there's still plenty of stuff I don't know about, you know, it's a huge area. It's, you know,
I've never seen a map. I've never seen the map.
Extraordinary, eh? Not
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
Two questions, Chair. The
efficiency of the race as it was originally designed. How's it working now? And can you just elaborate a little bit more on the maintenance requirements to keep it operating? And I just want to pick up on your comment regarding that there is some farmers who dislike the race. Why is that? Can you just expand a little on that?
Some farmers have a lot going on there, like there's farms that will have 4 junctions, or major junctions on their farm. Some farmers really embrace it, and really keen on it and religiously get it cleaned. And then there's particularly dairy farms further down the line. Fonterra they'll fence them off. Once they fence them off, they just lose interest in them altogether.
So that means they're not cleared out.
Yeah, so they're not, and they're not getting graze, so, and so, yeah, so once they're like that, I have someone downstream who uses the water, lifestyle walkers or dry stock farm, and I'm constantly like, oh, can you clean this out? These guys are it's getting hard to get the water down, and they really don't want to spend the money on it, but it gets to the point where they just have to do it. I try not to, we have the capability of after going through a process that you can just get Kelvin in there and dig it all out and send the bill to it. But that's, we try and, we don't do that. Like, it's been done in the past, and bills don't get paid, and then they get very hostile. And there are a few farms I just let go on. I'll just ring the guy and hold the phone out here and say, can you please do this?
This is something in a dry year.
We're at the end of the line, and with the restrictions on how much we can take, is so the crazy system where right now when the river's full, I can take heaps, but no one really wants it. The paddocks are wet anyway, and it sort of acts as a bit of a drain as well. But then in the summer, or even last month, we had a month without rain. The river gets below a level, you've got to keep dropping what you take as it goes down, and you get down to a minimum. And that's when it's hot and dry, and everyone's screaming for water. But definitely, they'll definitely, they go on about the regional, but I'd say at least 50% of it ends up back in the system, at the end of it, even on a hot summer, it'll end up back in the rivers or the creeks.
So the current consents do want to see analysis of how much gets taken and returned. Very interested in knowing that we are either holding or basically not increasing the amount of water because the regional council expects that due to the action of climate change, the rivers will dwindle. And they don't want the system taking more than the environmental fair share. So we're being boxed into the corner, I suppose, being able to maintain adequate supply during summer, given the weed growth, because the weed acts essentially as quite a brake on the system. You need more hydraulics to get over the restriction of the weed and the water flow, and in a system that large, that means that if the water's low to start off, it's hard to get it to the end.
Fran, you had a question?
Yeah, just interested in the Greytown area, which is I know a bone of contention from both points of view. I actually hadn't realised there were that many channels actually going through Greytown itself.
So,
Yeah, I thought there was
essentially provide
3.
all water
Yeah.
to drain.
Historically, it's for water for firefighting.
Yeah.
That's why, and as you say, like, you got to monitor the weather, and if it's going to rain heavy in the hills, but if it's going to rain in Greytown,
Well, that's really
definitely got to lower the intake. What you're putting in there, and the volume is just, so you got, and it's coming from people's backyards.
absolutely. Yep.
And there's a lot of elderly people who they can't clean
No.
the races.
So
There's a lot
that
of-
was kind of my question was, so we're also looking at the moment at the regional council flood maps, and, you know, all versions, et cetera, for Greytown. And there's the issue of the stock bank, which should be there. So we could turn off the water race in the case of a flood. You could turn it off completely. It'd just come down the Waihanau and come out in a different place over Greytown. Is that really what it is?
There's probably, I think there's 6 of those water races all go back to one junction,
Yeah.
and there's a
You mean at the top end?
right up the
Yeah.
top, yeah, Doctor.
Yeah. See, yeah.
So there's a culvert that comes off the main race that supplies all of that water, which breaks down. So when I know it's going to rain, like a few days ago, I go up there and there's a big boulder and I roll it in front of the.
Oh, that's very scientific, isn't it? Yeah.
Just knock it down.
You use a boulder.
We've got to pick up that gym because it's in the right
Hey,
shape.
you don't have to go to the gym, do you? 'Cause you're-
Push the boulder in there and then, yeah, I'm leaving it because it's going to rain on the weekend, but yeah, and then when it sort of calms down, I'll go
Yeah.
roll the rock out of the way.
That's interesting. But the,
Sorry, me friend.
no, go on. No, go on. I could,
My question was relating to the technology that you had available to you, and I think you probably just answered that question.
Oh, that was,
And it was related to, you just,
Stone Age.
just yeah. You just mentioned, the regional council wants a measurement of the intake on that, of what goes back. Do we have the methodology
know?
to do that? Do we know? I mean, are we able to do that? Is that something?
We have 2 out of the 4 measurements that they want measured by something called a flume, which is essentially a big square culvert.
Very expensive.
They are quite expensive, and now they want us also to measure the amount that is bypassed back, so you can calculate by difference. So they have written into the concept that they'd like a flume on those structures as well, but the engineer in me just doesn't want to go there, and so I'm just going through the discussion. I'm well aware of other methods of measurement. I don't think it has to be as accurate as a flume provides. So yeah, we'll get to the point once we get the Morella consent where we'll agree and design up and implement either a open channel measurement or a flow over a weir by height, and that will suffice. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm.
Chair.
I've got a whole lot of questions, but I won't hold up the meeting. Maybe some other time. Quite interesting.
Perhaps me friend, Dave can take you on a road trip.
Yeah, I'll go with Dave on a road trip one day. See the stone.
See the stuff.
love it.
Could be a tourist attraction.
Right, shall we move on? Is everyone finished? No, anyone got any more questions about these 2 slides?
I used to thank the report because it's quite illuminating actually as to the extent of the water race.
Yeah, look, it's huge.
These are ones which the South Waikato District Council will maintain ownership of next year. The council controlled organisation won't be doing this for the council.
This will be tied up with, if we ever, sometime in eternity, get a water storage project that impacts on South Wairarapa. This would kind of, flow into it without wanting to make but you know, this would be part of the considerations. I mean, people are paying for the water rate, they pay the rate. So far, farmers who get the water, another water take, just pull it out of the ground, and nobody wants to pay. So this would have to be integrated into anything like that, an irrigation project, frankly. I don't know what would happen to it then, but.
Another quick thing is, I'm not 100% sure on this, but one farmer has told me that, you know, how the cows, they're going into these wearable.
Yeah, the wearables, yeah.
Break fences up anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of I don't know whether it's changed, but the original 2 years ago when a farmer here that was doing it, he had to put troughs in because the technology didn't recognise the water race.
Oh, really?
And so you cannot physically like put in a boundary without a trough in it.
You need something above the ground, not below the ground.
Yeah, I can see that those things that I'm seeing more and more on my cows, so they
Mhm.
might end up the time when, you know, they're all gonna have to put troughs in, or they might change the technology, I don't know.
Mm.
Brother-in-law as well to that too, and he's saying the same sorts of things.
It's interesting.
Right. Amy's just moved forward to the slide on the consents. So we've got information. So here we are, Peter, Resource Management Duration of Consents Amendment Act. You were talking about that earlier on,
That's correct.
wastewater.
It has, yes, for the Lake Ferry wastewater treatment plant, resource consent has also been extended by this one. But the bonus 2 years, if I didn't want to just pull the application for this or the Lake Ferry one, because that's just a whole lot of lost effort.
Yeah.
So we've got the resource consents for Longwood and Moral will intend to be short-term consents to allow a lot of data to be collected. And then once they're in place, we've still got these, the bylaws that one has been very old. It's a pity Councillor Olds isn't here to talk to that more, because it's been involved as heavily as anyone around, or more heavily than anyone around the table in those. So he's got personal experience. If you want to hit him up, that would be good. I can't give as much information about the membership and obligations through the bylaw, the water race users group or the water race subcommittee, which I'm not sure if that's the.
Do you need one?
I don't think so.
Do you, well, you've got a user group which is not meeting apparently, and so do you need either of them, committee or a user group?
I don't think it's necessary.
So the subcommittee that you last met in, various.
In 21, yeah.
And it was disbanded by Mayor Bayan.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So it doesn't, it's not there anymore.
No.
Okay. And what about the users group? Is that,
I haven't had any knowledge or any involved.
Aside from that,
okay, well, we maybe should stop talking about it then. It's not in existence anymore.
I'm just wondering if they are a byproduct or bylaws, perhaps we need to go back and have a look.
I think somebody should have a quick look at that. Maybe Amy make a note of that and we'll check.
Councillor Isaacs may know.
Yeah, he might actually, because he's on, Colin will probably know anyway. But yeah,
So move towards fencing off water races.
Yeah.
And so that fifth bullet point is just that the Greater Wellington Regional Council makes that attractive by half funding for property owners. And so we've received those applications, and in general, we're okay with those. And Dave has passed each one by Dave, and you would normally know about it in advance from the contact.
Slowly.
but if there's, I mean, the regional council would obviously encourage that, but they don't want to stop in the waterways. But you've said that when it's fenced off, it's not clean, so the water doesn't flow freely and cleanly, and the people further down are impacted. Would they be able to put in a trough or something feeding off the water race, or is that not allowed?
Yeah, that's what's been happening, is some of them have been fencing them off and then putting in solar pumping plants.
Yeah, a little trough kind of thing for them.
Or some of them just have little bays where the stock can get.
Yeah,
Not
into it.
not the whole access.
Yeah.
But-
Because there will certainly be more fencing off and planting,
Yeah.
which is going to alter the whole character of it.
The theory, and I don't know if the practice yet, we may not have seen enough, is that if they're planted on the north side, then that shades the water race and reduces the growth of the weed, which shows
Okay.
the flow. So
Yeah.
there are those benefits, but as long as you only plant one side so that the other side can be used for maintenance access and animal access if they need it.
So, Peter, I noticed the water range code of practice revised in 2017. Does that record that information about planting only on one side of the water race? And that code of practice?
Not our one so much. Most of it is, I think, that it sets up, to an earlier question, it sets up the groups. I can't remember if it's called the water race subcommittee. It's more code of practice. It's about how you behave and making sure that you keep your races clean, because downstream depends on it, etc. It doesn't have any technical details on that.
Because the other side of the coin with fencing, I mean, sure, there's a requirement to, from Fonterra to fence off waterways, but there's also the ability to actually fence them, but have the ability to drop the wires so that the machinery can get in to clean out from one side. So whether or not we need to be ensuring that information is shared with waterways ahead of, if they are going to be fencing.
They usually send you the plan, and we'll have a look at it. And so if there's something that we don't like, we'll say.
Yeah, it's okay.
They're often 2-wire electric fences anyway, so they're able to be manipulated.
Right.
So given that these are all going to be run by one council in a few years' time, it's probably best to be talking to the others too. Do we do that? Carterton and Opaki, I've extended for a year, I see, but will that keep going or not?
That doesn't feel like they're going to keep going.
Yeah, they was going to stay with the individual council.
Yeah, but there's going to only be one council in a couple of years.
I
So they'll all be run by one council. Yeah. So they'll all be run under the same regime.
I found it interesting on the next slide, please. So I found it interesting that Carleton's unit rates for water race are as expensive as their unit rates for potable water in some instances. So,
Oh, cow is more valuable than a person. More economically valuable.
ability to pay may come into it. And so, yes, if there is going to be a combined approach, then Carleton's is definitely different to our one.
Yeah.
And it won't be the first time it's discussed, I'm sure, but this council may want to think about what we do to either meet halfway or adopt their approach. They spend almost $1 million a year on maintenance for their water race system, and hence the unit.
It's the rates, yeah.
You're going to use it for 1 hour as well, so
Yeah.
fill their big hole if they ever dig it, yeah.
And the other aspect that Carleton has that almost no one else has, not even Masterton, is of course the large industrial area, Waingawa, and they supply Waingawa with, that's the third bullet point there, with non-potable water directly from the water race. So for all of the water hungry processes. So nowhere else, and that's a great move, but it does mean that maybe they've got more equipment and more and people that can pay big bills, potentially making a big assumption about Ravensdown and other people like that right now when I say that. But so that philosophy, our two little ones serve smallholders and dairy farms and quite a vast area with no industrial requirements, and they form part of the stormwater system for one of the towns, whereas Carleton's have a more managed system. So whether they need to be different or just run by the same people in different ways.
Right, next slide, Peter. Happy with that? If there's no further questions for that last one. Yep.
So this is my last slide, and it just summarizes and recommends and provides some graphs from the last customer survey to add, I guess, data to what Dave and I was saying. It's right. There's no unilateral opinion about these water races. Some people love it, some people hate it. Some people need it, some people don't need it. And so I just recommend that we, probably in keeping with the bylaw and the code of practice, and actually the resource consent has got a requirement to do a survey. Is about due for another survey. If you're interested in what we want to ask them.
Interesting, there's a direct correlation between whether they think the rates are reasonable and how important it is the water's for them.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't include the chart which said they all think that town dwellers should pay the.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, some of us town dwellers would be very happy not to have it if we.
a lot.
Like a lot of great town people. Yeah.
So that's an interesting point. So based on Dave's philosophy that there's a lot of times people on Greytown dealing with people that are not using the water races, with no interest in the water race, Generally speaking, if people apply to have the water race culverted, we agree.
You do it.
Accept,
Okay.
because it keeps the water flowing
Clean too.
cleaner.
Yep.
That's,
You know, and it's all goes through Greytown and out on.
Absolutely, which is what it's necessary for. Yep, yep. That's interesting.
Thank you very much. Right.
Great.
Now,
Selection.
thanks for that. Now, Dave, you're finishing up very soon and from this role. Are you, has there been an induction, arranged for you to share your knowledge and your processes with City Care, who will take over?
Yeah,
the role of
I've,
overseer?
a sort of ad hoc, had me taking the, retake this, license facilities. And, I've been doing driver roles there and I've been showing them around. I've got extensive, maps and notes, that, you know, Wellington Water originally made up. Updated all those. So done a book, exercise book of like, Wards Line, east side, go to this junction, at number blah, 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 Biddle's Cutting Road, go up the drive, jump the fence, you know. So I've done that. I've got, you know, all the phone numbers and where you need to spray, what culverts you need to clean in the town to stop flooding, you know, what you need to do if it's, you know, heavy rain, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I've tried. So, yeah. Yeah.
That's great. Thanks a lot for what you've done over the last 3 years to keep that whole network going for the ratepayers and the residents in the district that rely on it. That's been great, and thanks a lot for coming along to give us this briefing. This is my 4th year on council, and this is the first detailed briefing I've received, which is great. It's a shame that that you're finishing up and moving on, and but hopefully City Care can take it over with all that information that you've collated and gathered, and hopefully they'll do as great a job as what you've done in your time.
Yeah, the thing with the RETIC is like me, I'm part of the RETIC as well. I'm on call, go out at night to block sewers and all that sort of stuff. You know, it's part of my job. But the RETIC is a reactionary. Everything those guys do is someone rings and complains and then I'll go and do something. Whereas the water races.
It's proactive.
Yeah.
You know, if the water stops flowing at Kahutara,
Backs up.
it could be back at Woodside. Woodside, where the problem is. And then once you unblock that, it travels at like half walking speed all the way to Kahutara, you know, so it's like days without water, you know. Yeah. That's all, you know, the whole reactive way of running it. You're just going to have lots of problems. So hopefully, I've talked to Keith, the guy from City Care, had a chat to him about all this. So hopefully he's taken on me.
Don't turn your phone off.
Sorry.
So don't turn your phone off.
Yeah.
Don't move out of South Finland.
You're retiring, do you?
Not yet. Got one foot out the door.
This is not, yeah, that's somewhere.
That's great. Well, thanks a lot for coming along, Dave.
Thank you.
Can be overwhelming for some people to sit at this table and present to us. But thanks a lot for coming along and sharing your knowledge. Yep. Cheers.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you.
So just a final question for you, James, with City Care taking over that role and responsibility, are they going to have a proactive rather than reactive presence?
Certainly my assumption and expectation. Yep. Yep. When we've been talking with them, it's about continuing as things are at the moment. Hence why Dave's had that interaction with them around how things are managed. And as you just heard, it's quite complex and quite manual in places. So sharing that knowledge is
Stone Age.
Yeah, exactly.
I roll the stone and I roll it back.
I think that is so funny. It's like Easter, you know, you roll.
Don't get caught behind the rock, David.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Councillor Rolton, been from the dinosaur age.
Yeah, Stone Age,
So,
yeah,
thanks so much for arranging that.
great.
Thanks for bringing Dave in, Peter. That was gold.
He presents well.
Hmm.
really interesting.
Do I have to move that we've received that waterways update? Yes. Can I have somebody to move, waterways
Yep.
update report? So councillor Bosley first and then, Mayor Friend to second it. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Motion has been carried. 10.6, we're now on to the action items. I think we're about 4 minutes behind. So action items, we'll go through that list. Does anyone have any questions with regards to those action items?
I'd just probably ask Alex here in terms of the wider comms plan around the vandalism, what's intended as noted in the report.
That plan is sitting with a couple of people to review in the office before we can share it, but it has been put together along with a couple of recommendations on what else can be done outside of just comms. But it's working with not just the group standard up bylaws teams, but obviously like with the vandalism. So it's kind of getting it on. We've got a sitting in meetings in box, release about something that's happened recently, so.
And just to further sort of just a query really, because you quite often get comments, particularly from folk in rural areas, about the amount of toy races, etc., who are causing a lot of vandalism on the roads. Is that also part of the focus? Good, thank you.
I think just to add to that, and I raised it at the last meeting, it's been discussed before, it's about the enforcement of that as well. So I think, you know, for management, but I also think for governance to have those discussions with the community, with police around how do we address this collectively?
Yes.
Because it is impacting right across the infrastructure group.
There's a couple of very good articles in the papers today about communities working together with police to address the issues.
Yeah.
With the chair on point 2 about the waste visit. I think Mandy has amended that to Melissa go into, what was the name of the place in Masterton Transfer Facility, Management Facility? Yeah, the MRF. And a place in Masterton that does lots of diversion, to have a look at that. So I think that's, I think we're just kind of discussing dates really.
Thank you. Any other questions or points of clarification, leader team? Good. Thanks a lot. We'll move on, I think. Now, last item on the agenda is publicly excluded. We're now going to enter into public excluded for we're going to confirm the minutes, the public excluded minutes from the last infrastructure committee meeting. So can I please have a mover in this?
I'll move those.
Thank you, councillor Taylor, and the seconder, sorry. Councillor Bosley, to move into public exclusion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. You.
We'll just disconnect your recording.